Be prepared for everything. September is Emergency Preparedness Month, and today we chat with our own expert, Julio Reyes Gomez, about being prepared and the most important things you'll need in an emergency. We also discuss what a certain 90s action movie can teach us about being prepared. And later, it's back to school season, so take out your pencils. It's time for a pop quiz. What's the most liked subject in elementary school? Think you know? Find out that and more coming up on Health is Real.
Come in, stay a while. Andrew Stinson alongside Angela Ta and Zach Watson. This is Health is Real, a podcast from Franklin County Public Health. Coming to you from Memorial Hall, downtown Columbus. Angela, how's it going today?
Good. It's been a great day so far. About to get even better.
Excellent, excellent. Zach, how's it going for you?
Oh, when I'm talking with you two, just amazing. Just
right.
amazing.
Not sure how I'm supposed to take that. But I'm excited for our guest today, Julio Reyes Gomez, Emergency Preparedness Planner here at Franklin County Public Health. Julio, how's it going?
Hey, everybody. I'm doing good. Looking forward to this. And, hopefully everybody takes something out of this podcast regarding emergency preparedness.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, a lot of people might not really know what emergency preparedness means. What is it and why is it so important?
So, in a nutshell, emergency preparedness is pretty much what sort of steps one can take to prepare themselves before a disaster, during a disaster, and after a disaster or emergency. It's something that we throw around a lot in films, media, books, and whatnot, but a lot of people may not fully understand what it takes to be emergency prepared, per se. And the reason to know emergency preparedness at its core is if you understand what the basics are for emergency preparedness, which I just said, being prepared for before, during, and after a disaster, you can pretty much understand why it's important. You kind of have to be like a future thinker when it comes to some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Our current practice, I want to say before 9/11, was very reactive. We would, react to a situation. But now with that and climate change, we're seeing a more proactive approach. And that's where we kind of have to have a mind shift change. And it's part of like, why is it important for me? Well, you go out into work and you see a car accident, you got to prepare for that. Like, what routes do I need to take? Because GPS will, crap out on you sometimes in the city with the towers and everything here.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you got an unexpected event that happens in your life, and it could be, a new family member. Like, how do I prepare for this as well? So it's not just during disaster, but it's also like personal preparedness as well.
Yeah, and Julio, so you tell us about some of the, I want to touch on some of the specifics of things that you work on. So obviously you came here during COVID. You do planning for a lot of other things, though, outside of COVID-19. Can you give us some examples for what sort of other things you've been involved in while you've been here?
Yeah, so pretty much with my background being in all hazard planning. So that means we plan for pretty much everything. So it's a broad scope, but I have like chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear disaster background. So with all that being said, I pretty much go to as many events and exercises, and sometimes if there is an actual real-world event or emergency, we'll respond to those. So on the preparedness side for FCPH, we do a lot of like Stop the Bleed, which is a huge program that helps us teach people who are in situations where first responders can't get to you because of a situation, whether it's, a shooting, for example. They're not going to let EMS in unless the scene is safe. So those people that are stuck in there need to be able to respond to the situation. So they're the initial responders, as we call them. Mm-hmm. And we train them how to stop said bleeding and, give them the equipment that they will use in class and actually use in real life. And it's a huge program that really has made a huge significance in terms of people being ready for, anything, but it also shows that like people are interested in this, and the more people we can get involved in the community, the better. So that's one thing I do. Other things are like, we do a heat plan, which it's kind of a thing that we start in the beginning of like, I want to say spring. We have a preparedness phase, and we get together with like our local stakeholders and go over our plans, make sure we have the right point of contacts and any sort of major changes like resources, new populations that we've overlooked. We kind of start looking at those and making sure that we're all up to date. And then, we activate that plan whenever there's a heat event. So we've had previous heat events this, summer. So we'll, make sure that once the plan's activated, we follow the protocols that we've set in place in the plan and any policies that we have, and make sure that we can implement the plan as soon as possible, make sure the resources are available and ready to go, make sure that we get public messaging out. That's a big component because with heat, it's a really slow event.
I was just going to tease out something you had mentioned in your response about what you do in the day-to-day. You had mentioned exercises, and I don't think that's something that is super common knowledge. Can you maybe explain to our listeners what that means when you say that you guys do exercises?
Yeah. So there are two types of exercises. There's the discussion-based, and then there's the operations-based. So I think there's a total of like 7 exercises, I believe. So with the discussion-based, it's pretty much we sit at the table and we do various type of stuff. We can look at our plans, review some stuff that's in the plan, and we're like, all right, we got this one cleared. We're good to go. Move on to the next part of the plan. With operations-based, it's more of those like boots on the ground type of exercises. And we're, testing certain capabilities, certain functions that we do to make sure that in a real world, if we responded, these actually play out like we think they would. And that's how we learned. We don't just learn from like real world events. We also learn from exercises. And that's the whole point, is to make sure that everybody that's going to be involved understands the plan, understands the roles and responsibilities, and knows where they can reach or point out or talk to be able to get said resources.
So for those exercises, since you're in emergency preparedness, is that something you enjoy? Do you like doing those exercises?
Yeah, because it's like a big old game, the way I see it.
Right.
Yeah.
If you play board games, you kind of like, I think it's called...
Catan.
Well, you could do that, but
Candyland?
yeah, great.
Monopoly.
Just
it's
name
like
board games.
a pandemic type of game. I forget what it's called, Contagion or something like that.
Contagion, yes.
So it's something like that where if you were to look at it like that, it throws a random variable, which could be a new virus, a new mutation, or whatever, and your plans account for this sort of actions to happen if something new arises. But it also helps you think outside the box, because a lot of times we sometimes get in our own box and we stay there and we get very like, tunnel vision? But part of being a planner is that you need to be able to think outside the box and use what you have available to you to make things work until we get resources from the feds. Sometimes those resources aren't going to show up like immediately. So you have to make do with what you have until they do show up. So yes, I like doing it. It's something that's crucial to do. And, we have programs out there that help, write these exercises. So if you're like not good at exercise writing, or you just don't have the capability or bandwidth to do so, people out there that can help. So, and if we can't do it, then we know someone who can. But yeah, it's something that we really like doing, and we want to start implementing more exercises with FCPH staff so that not just the EP team knows, what to do and how to do certain things, but everybody knows. And that's a bigger picture. It's called continuity of operations, which means we can do our business anywhere and everywhere that we're at. So we don't necessarily have to be at the office. So if we want to exercise a continuity of operations like exercise, we could say the office has been closed. It's a little bit more involved, but we would be working from home. We would have the equipment that we need to do the job.
Now, I've heard a lot about like these doomsday preppers. There's TV shows, there's all kinds of stuff going on in the media with that. What are your thoughts on doomsday prepping?
So the media has given the doomsday prepper kind of a negative connotation attached to it.
Right.
Because, think about a doomsday prepper and what you normally come up with is, some conspiracy theories out in the woods somewhere, in a bunker and stuff like that. And while, there may be some truth to that, I can't say that there isn't people out there that do that, but I think it was just, used to describe anyone that's actually preparing for like the worst case scenario, end of times type of situation. But I like to think of doomsday prepper as just your regular, run-of-the-mill prepper who just got ramped up a little bit and went overboard with that.
A little zealous,
Yeah, exactly. But I will say that there is some, validity to having to be a prepper. We all have some sort of prepper planner in us. It's how we've managed to survive as a species.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be probably 6 feet under, or not even having this conversation right now. So it's part of our biology to always look for the worst case scenario, whether it's, hey, there's an animal there, I should probably go that way, or maybe I should find a different route. That's planning. That's preparing for the worst.
Yeah, and what kinds of situations should people prepare for or plan for?
So given our current climate, really anything and everything.
That's prepared for everything.
Pretty much, you want to be prepared for everything.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure that you're prepared for, let's use climate change. I know it's a hot topic, but it's the reality. It's happening. It's not as glamorous and as captivating as like, a tornado or whatever you see in a movie where it's like, it's quick, feds show up, things get done, and then you see the results of your, work. Climate change is pretty slow. It's going to take some time for it actually to like, you see the effects. So maybe we're starting to feel the effects right now, but future generations are going to actually see like what happened.
Yeah.
So preparing for that sort of stuff. So like what you can do personally. So if you have a house, how can you prepare for energy bills to not be through the roof? There's special curtains you could put to kind of lower your energy bill so it blocks out the sun. Stuff like that. Obviously know your hazards in where you live. So there are some hazards that aren't going to affect Columbus, Ohio, for example. You're not going to have a tsunami versus like California where they are. There's a chance that they have. So they have to prepare for like flood waters and having to evacuate quickly. Ohio's pretty good because it's well cushioned from everything around it. So that's a good thing. But you do have hazards here that, we should prepare for. And those could be like winter weather. Want to make sure that you have thermal blankets for when you're out in your car going to work. If there is a traffic jam and it's super cold and you run out of gas, you're not going to be able to run your heat. I've seen it where high-profile people, I'm not going to mention names, have been stuck in a specific highway for, let's say, over a day, and they weren't prepared. And we cannot get the guard out there to get you if there is a 10-mile back pileup and snow is on the embankments of each side, and we can't get to you. So those are the type of situations where if the EMA, which is the local emergency management agency, or any agency that has a nexus to emergency preparedness tells you, hey, there's going to be a situation. If there's any messaging that goes out, heed it, because that's how you start, to be aware of the situation and what you should do.
Yeah. So question for you. You're saying be prepared for everything, which is a lot.
A tsunami.
You never know,
You
right?
never know. I would hope not in Ohio, but you never know.
I also hope not. So, okay, if someone said to you, all right, Julio, I want to be prepared for everything, but I can only grab 3 things right now. What would be the 3 things that you'd be like, all right, make sure you have this, this, and this?
So first aid kit, because usually a first aid kit has several items.
Smart.
Stop the bleed kit if it doesn't come with your first aid. Sometimes it can do together, but typically they're separate. And a water filter of some kind. Some first aid kits have a thermal blanket in them, but those would be my top 3 because water is heavy. If you want to carry like a gallon, it's like, 8 pounds or something like that, I believe. So just imagine, we tell people that 1 gallon per person per day. So if we're going to tell you to get a bug out bag, or a go bag, a disaster bag, evacuation bag, whatever it is, ready to go, you can't carry 3 gallons of water with you without having to take up space in your book bag or whatever, travel equipment you're going to have.
Or break your back.
Or break your back too,
Goodness, that's heavy.
So when we look at these things, we want to be practical about what we can take, what's going to last us long term, what's going to have a long shelf life.
Yeah.
So we look at the practicality of it, as well as like, okay, is this going to be a more, I'm going to, hold it out in my house type of situation? Then the things change. You can carry more stuff. You can make sure that you have, at least 2 weeks of food, water stored up versus 3 days of food and water in a go bag, essentially.
I have another unplanned segment. Can I get a triple air horn on the end? Thank you. So the reason I do this is so that these two can't censor me, because this is a country with freedoms, and I have them, and I have a freedom to speak, and I have a freedom to talk with Julio about whatever I want. So, Julio, I thought this might be relevant, and it could be a plan for a future episode if you're willing to hear us out here.
Okay.
So have you ever seen the 1997 film Volcano starring Tommy Lee Jones?
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about.
Amazing. So for those of you who don't know, Volcano was a movie with Tommy Lee Jones and Don Cheadle, a few other big name actors, a lot of character actors in there too that you see in modern things nowadays. But it came out at about the same time that Dante's Inferno with Pierce Brosnan came out. They sort of competed against each other, and 2 Volcano movies at the same time. People tend to more often remember the Pierce Brosnan one, and they were sort of more meteorologist type people and came at it from a more scientific angle. However, in Volcano, Tommy Lee Jones was an emergency preparedness person for the city of Los Angeles. And so we have a structure here when we go into emergencies that Julio briefly referenced, I believe, called ICS, which is Incident Command Structure. And Julio, do you think that in the movie Volcano, ICS, Incident Command Structure, could have been really, really helpful versus Tommy Lee Jones just being a one-man army versus an erupting volcano? Well, actually several erupting volcanoes around Los Angeles.
So I like that you brought up those 2 movies because, I'm not going to lie, that is the first time I've actually seen the title emergency manager or management in any of the lexicon that we have in terms of movies. Volcano was the first time I saw it, so good segue. Yes, so ICS would have definitely been a more methodical approach to responding to that sort of situation, because you had a lot of agencies that were like doing things, and aside from being the hero of the movie, you don't really have that capability to be able to do operations, tactical planning, strategic thinking, and be able to have the resources that you would have all at once, like Tommy Lee Jones did in that movie. So ICS would have been more apropos, because for an event like that, you might have had to work with outside agencies, like outside of the county or city in this case. So something along the lines of like a unified command. So that's where you have like fire chiefs, police chiefs, city officials who all have a role to play, but having an ICS structure and then expanding it to like unified command to be ICS but bigger with chiefs from each agency or anybody that has a role in it would have been more apropos. But I'm not gonna lie, if you encounter a situation where there's a huge fire, the first responder, and this could be EMS, fire, police, anybody who has a public role, like a public service role, is typically the commander of that situation until someone shows up, and then the actual people who do this for a job, they take over.
So what you're saying is Tommy Lee Jones wasn't very off.
He wasn't off because he had to respond to something that was
until someone else showed up.
Until feds and you would have had a huge operation there that it tends to happen like that. For example, ICS came about from like the 1970s, from like constant forest fires in California. And so what they did was like instead of sending everybody to try to put out fires, no pun intended, they realized that they weren't being as effective and efficient with the resources they had. There was miscommunications on like the jargon that they were using. So they needed a system that everyone could speak, everyone could understand, and it could be adaptable and flexible. And ICS is that system.
Just to clarify, we're not saying that anyone in the public should take those roles. It's got to be someone who's trained, who's like an official.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones
Well,
was an emergency management person, not your average Joe.
And that's where I want to clarify for those of you listening at home. In this scenario, if volcano happened, it would actually be Julio driving a 1990s SUV with lava erupting all around him, and me in the command center going like, "You got to get out of there, man! You got to get out of there!" And he's like, "No, I've got to save lives," and that sort of thing. Like Julio is Tommy Lee Jones in this situation.
Yeah, I just wish I had the pay as Tommy Lee Jones. That'd be great.
Have you ever been compared to Tommy Lee Jones before? Or is this the first time?
It's the first time. Usually I get the Jackie Chan and Aladdin type vibes. It's when I had long hair. You know? I had a little bit more.
Do you know the martial arts?
No, I wanted to, but I should now, maybe.
Great comparison. Listen, so as we're wrapping up, I demand that we need to have a future episode talk about how we at Franklin County Public Health through ICS and emergency management would have done volcano differently, like the exact same scenario. We'll watch it and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, it's important to actually have these type of conversations just because we need to get out of there's a saying that we have in EM in emergency preparedness that it takes like a disaster or an emergency to create change. That's a very old reactive mindset that we've had for the longest time. But given how things are changing in terms of like tornadoes becoming more intense, more frequent, climate change is not making those things any better. Hurricanes are getting more and more aggressive. Fault lines are everywhere. And earthquakes can happen anytime. Yellowstone's not far from us. And if that goes kaboom, we're in a lot of trouble. So we want to make sure that we're being proactive and having these conversations, having meetings with our local stakeholders, getting buy-in from like leaderships to make sure that we're as well prepared as we possibly can be when we write these plans.
Absolutely.
I was just going to say, I think that there's a lot that we could be afraid of, like you're talking about, like hurricanes and tornadoes and Yellowstone and everything like that. But I think that's the great thing about emergency preparedness is that when you kind of look forward towards those things and have a plan of attack, it sort of frees you up from that anxiety if something happens because you have a plan in place. So you can, be free from being afraid of that happening. So I think that's very cool. I really enjoy the work you guys do and appreciate that, you guys offer the public something different than just being afraid if something happens. You're like, hey, well, let's make a plan if something happens.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Julio Reyes Gomez, he's the Emergency Preparedness Planner here at Franklin County Public Health. Thank you so much for coming on today, Julio. It's great having you. I've got some back-to-school trivia. It's back-to-school season. It is. We're not going back to school because
Thank God.
We are far too old for that.
Wow.
We are each 85 years old, and it's been a lot. It does. It's been a long time since we've been to school, but here are some back to school trivia. Maybe it'll bring back the nostalgia for back to school season. So each graphite pencil has enough graphite to draw a line. How many miles long could you draw with a graphite pencil? What do you think?
4 miles.
4 miles? I mean, it would be so impressive if you got it exactly right because, like, how would you know? I didn't give you an A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
It's 35 miles.
That's crazy.
You could draw with a regular graphite pencil 35 miles before it ran out. That's insane to me.
That is wild.
How much money does the average family spend on school supplies over a year?
Oh, geez, man. Especially these days for inflation.
And you also got to factor in, I'm maybe giving you a little bit of a clue here. like sometimes when you get into the upper grades, like calculators and such, like can maybe bump it a little higher than you would expect.
Like $600.
That's, you know what? I'm going to give it to you. It's $700, but that's really close. So I'm going to give that to you.
I was like, it's like, I know it's not going to be 1,000. I feared that it would be, but like, I was like, it's got to be under, because I feel like we would hear about it a lot more if it were like super close. And I mean, that's closer to 1,000 than truly I thought it would be. But yeah, I was trying to adjust for inflation in my head. It's like, I feel like back when we were kids, you could argue it was like 300 or 200 tops, right? And then
yeah, for sure.
I was like, so let's just double or triple that. So
now we live in a different time now with online shopping compared to back in the day when everything was always done in store. How much of back to school shopping is done online? What percentage do you think? I don't have a good clue to help you here.
Yeah, I'm trying. I have two answers, but they're wildly different. I would say, okay, I won't take the right answer. I won't take credit for being right, because I feel like I'm torn between, it's either like 45%, like it's lower than you may think, or it's predominantly even higher than you may think. So I would say 45 or 85. Is one of those numbers correct?
50%.
I like
half. Yeah,
that's kind of crazy. I had wondered if like that is like, is there a vestige of Americana still sort of hanging on by a thread out there, and the whole school shopping experience must be that.
Like I just feel like you can't pick out a backpack online. It's just something that doesn't feel right about that. Like you gotta go to the store and see it.
You gotta let them pick what bag. It speaks to the tactile feeling. Like I've been making I'm going off on a whole tangent now. Go for it. I've been telling people there's something special to picking out something, whether that's going like back when we were young, you would go out and rent a movie, or picking up a piece of music, or there's something nice to physically choosing something. And I think that's really special for going back to school, especially because you're having your child make like the commitment that you're going to be educated in this new grade and environment for a year or whatever. So let's like go and make these choices like in person.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's something that makes more sense to do in person. All right, next up, where in the United States is the oldest public school located? What city? It's a big city.
Okay.
That's my clue.
Well, I think about all of the oldest cities in the territory, the U.S.
The good old territory.
Yeah, the good old territory, the best territory. I would have to say that it's probably Philadelphia.
Good guess. Boston.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Boston. Yeah, Philly is a good guess, though.
Massachusetts. Yeah, I should have thought a little bit more about that one, because I was thinking about that Northeast corridor. So
this is an interesting one. When were erasers added to pencils? What year were erasers added to pencils?
It's going to be later than I think it was. I would say let's go 1979.
1979. Now, I would not have known. 1858.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's when
I apologize to everybody who had anyone they loved or cared about in that generation of time I skipped.
Apparently, erasers and pencils have had a very long-term relationship with each other. 1858.
I'm so on guard for trick questions, because I promise you normal brain me would think like probably early 1900s, but I was like, no, it's worse. Everything is always worse now.
What is the most selective college in the U.S. to get into? And this is not a trick question. It's a known school.
So can I give out three options and you tell me if it's one of them? Is it either going to be Princeton, Harvard, or MIT?
Yes, it's one of those three.
I'm going to go with MIT. Dang it.
No, Harvard? It's Harvard.
Yeah, that was Saren right. Again, see, it's a trick brain got me. So, because Harvard is like, duh, like, it's like the one that you would think of, but.
Yeah, but sometimes those trip you up because you're like, okay, Harvard seems like probably the right answer. So, yeah, maybe they're going to trick you, but nope, it's Harvard. So, worldwide, what is the most liked subject in elementary school?
Oh.
And again, not a trick question. This is a very mainstream subject.
I'm gonna do the same thing again. I'm gonna throw out two answers and you just tell me, and I won't take credit for it if it's not.
Okay, I'll give you credit.
Because there's only so many. Is it either English or history?
It is not. It is math.
What's the children? We have to save the children. What's wrong with the children,
Well,
Andrew?
it's worldwide, so maybe math is more popular in
What's
other countries.
happening to them? They used to have souls.
Now they just love numbers.
Is TikTok doing this? Do you think TikTok's buying this? Okay.
Making kids like math?
Yeah,
Probably not.
Probably not. That's too much credit for that horrible app. Anyway,
What percentage of students in the U.S. wear school uniforms? This is a good one.
I'm gonna go with a solid 40%.
Ooh, not quite. 20%. Just 20%. Yeah. A lot of private schools, maybe contribute to 20%. Oh, see, no, I wouldn't have known this one. Okay, what is the largest college in the United States? And I'm assuming they're going based off of student body size. And I think I've heard this, but I probably wouldn't have remembered it. It's not Ohio State, just in case that wasn't clear. Although that's a good guess.
Hold on, let me think about this really quick. I have two guesses.
Okay.
Is it either in California or Arizona?
It is not.
Whoa. Florida?
Yeah, it is Florida. It is in Florida.
Florida University?
No, University of Florida. I think now that I'm thinking about this more, I've heard this, but I just wouldn't have remembered it.
Florida State. Keep telling me no if I'm wrong. Is it Florida State? No. Miami.
No. It's a D1. It's a D1 school.
Is it oh my God. Hold on. I know it's not Florida Atlantic. It's I hate myself because I know this school is featured in hold on, I'm not gonna let you tell me. The school is featured in my favorite movie. UCF.
That's it. University of Central Florida.
Miami Connection is based in UCF. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite movies. I can't believe that UCF in Orlando is one of the biggest colleges.
Yeah,
the
largest in the country. They have a ton of students there. I don't know what the current enrollment is, but it's big.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Now I'm going to read the question as it's written. What percentage of school-age children? So I'm guessing that means from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. That'd be my guess. What percentage of school-age children report that they enjoy school? And you can give me a couple of guesses or a range or something, because this is a tougher one, I feel like. I don't know if I'd come close to this. Talk me through it. What are you thinking?
So I've been defaulting to that 40% because I know that there are kids that still like school, but I feel like it's going to be much, much lower than that. I'm going to stick with a strange number, a 27%.
27%. No, actually not even close. I think to remember that elementary school kids a lot of times still really do like school, or they'll say 66%.
These are those dweebs that like math, isn't it?
I think they surveyed those people that like math.
Those dweebs. We have to save the children.
All right, last question. Which country has the shortest school year at 36 weeks? Shortest school year in the whole world.
I'm going to give out some options,
sure,
and I'm going to laugh if one of these is correct. Is it Denmark, Finland, Spain, or Argentina? Any one of those?
No. I'll just say it's in Europe.
Okay, thank you. Iceland.
No.
Greenland.
That would be amazing, but no. I don't know do they have schools in Greenland? I would assume they do.
To say the fjords. I think that's Iceland. So I was going in the right direction, sort of. Not Scandinavia. Is it one of the more recognized ones?
It is. You get one more guess.
One more guess.
Yeah, you've already guessed a bunch.
Well, come on. Let me find this out. Give me like 5 more.
just like 10 more guesses.
Yeah, 10 more guesses. England?
No.
Ireland?
No.
Scotland?
No.
France.
It's France.
France.
Shortest school year, 36 weeks. It's France. Can you believe that? Thank you for listening to the Health is Real podcast from Franklin County Public Health. We want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts at fcph@franklincountyohio.gov, and be sure to follow us on your favorite social media platforms. And did you know that we offer vaccine clinics and education throughout Franklin County for both children and adults? Talk to a public health nurse to ask questions or schedule your vaccine appointment by calling us at 614-525-3719 or email shots@franklincountyohio.gov.